Are you a progressive young leader, a proactive emerging executive, a rising professional? Then you need appropriate cover for your vehicle. Introducing the Pro Motor Plan from Beacon. Car insurance that includes free loss of use, windscreen cover up to $3,500, free special perils, free accident forgiveness. Get Beacon's Pro Motor Plan today. Don't procrastinate. Call Beacon today at 440-4447 or visit beacongrenada.com.
Yeah, 99999. What boy? Yeah, what boy? What boy? The sun is hot, the breeze is slow. I need a ride. Where do I go? Ride go, yeah. That's the name. Island roads will never feel the same. Tap the app, just one click. Hopping fast, it's real quick. Ride go, where do you wanna go? To the beach, to the street, let the island flow. Ride go, the good vibe show, fastest growing ride, everybody know. Ride go, where do you wanna go? To the beach, to the street, let the island flow. Ride go, let the good vibe show, fastest growing ride, everybody know.
Where do you want to go?
Right along live, welcome to the ride. Welcome to Wednesday on the ride. Yeah, happy hump day. Yes, guys, and I'm happy to be back inside. We had 2 days off this week because we was in Carriacou for Carnival. Kayak Mass was in full effect, and I just want to salute everyone who came out to Kayak Mass. Salute all the organizers and people that put this thing together. Listen, let me tell you something. I've seen Kayak Mass gone from strength to strength to strength. And this year, guys, the turnout, the people, the vibe was just there. So big up to the Kayak Mass crew. Big up to everyone who's still in Kayak Mass because they still ain't get enough. And they just getting a whole heap of vibe. Carriacou Carnival, thank you so much for hosting us right along. We had the tuk-tuks there. We was in the Monday Night Mass band. We didn't have a band on the road this year. We was participating and promoting the bands. But all in all, it was a great event. Big up to you. How you guys doing? Welcome. How you doing? We have Cinda. How you doing? Big up, Cinda. As you come in, guys, share up the live because we got some breaking news for you and a great conversation, which I think that a lot of you, both men and women, should really participate in. This conversation is not limited to just women. I know we're talking about domestic abuse, and oftentimes when we hear domestic abuse, when we have conversation about domestic abuse, some people seem to think about, okay, we're only talking to women about women. No, we're talking to men and women, because this is a broad topic that I think everyone should participate in. Men should be a part, and listen, men at this point in time should even be more vocal. Should be vocal, more vocal about this topic, because what we've been seeing, the trend that we've been seeing, guys, it is not nice. What has been happening as of yesterday, guys, and it was just about a few days ago, we had a conversation on this same platform here. We was talking about a young lady who tragically lost her life. And it seems like there is no end. And I could understand why people are scared for their children. Mothers are scared for their daughters and their son, because, listen, it seems like it's equal opportunity here. But there have to be a point in time when we say enough. Because it sounds like, we oftentimes is so reactive to this thing. We need to put ourselves in the position when we are proactive. So we have a lot of plans, a lot of conversation, and we're going to continue to have it. I mean, we've been having this conversation back to back for many, many years. Since the first Ride Along Live, we've been having conversation. And my guest today will give a lot of information, because of course we have a criminal justice specialist on the live. We'll talk to you about, relationship and the criminal justice and how the whole domestic violence play in. And also it's important because a lot of people don't understand when they're in a domestic situation. A lot of people don't understand how to get out of a domestic situation. And today we are going to help you resolve and understand this situation better, right? But first, let me tell you guys about this. Yesterday, guys, we got late breaking news coming through our wire that was very, very early in the morning. That this gentleman right here, Darren Tobias, was a wanted man. At the time, the RGPF, posted a bulletin that Darren Tobias is wanted by police for questioning in connection with the death of Miss Sebastian, an 18-year-old sales representative of Tivoli that happened in St. Andrews Big Parish. The police at the time was asking if seen, do not approach, call the nearest police station. Now, this man that you're seeing on your screen right now, the way in which this situation unfolded, again, we was not there. None of us were there to see what happened. But the aftermath of what we saw was so tragic. And another sad thing about this whole incident that happened, there happened to be a video that was circulating shortly thereafter. Some bystander came on the scene and videotaped what they saw. And it is, I don't even want to describe it, because if I describe it, you'll put a picture in your mind. All in all, this man, Darren Tobias, who many say was a close friend or a close confidant of Miss Sebastian, and it seems to many that it was a crime of passion, all right? Shortly after this story broke, we at Ride Along Live plus other media outlets posted this wanted poster. We spoke to and coordinate some information with the RGPF shortly after this information was posted. And this morning, we were happy to find out that Mr. Sebastian was in custody by the RGPF. Now, how did it happen and what exactly happened? Now, yesterday we posted on Ride Along Live, and a follower of the program, a bus driver of Ride Along Live, sent us this message that we later posted on the page. He said to us, "Good night, riders and everyone. I'm a bus driver and operator that operate on the Eastern Main. So every morning I leave home and head to Tivoli side to start work. This morning in particular, of all morning, he was very late. And when he passed through Tivoli Junction, he passed a young lady and a guy, right around where the incident happened. And he happened to head back. So he passed them, and he happened to head back on the way. And when he stopped his bus, and so the young lady could come onto the bus. And the elderly lady, he said, that normally goes down with him to the junction as well, was in the vehicle. He reversed and he attempted to pick that young lady up. And while trying to pick her up, the gentleman who was standing next to her, he described what the gentleman was wearing, told him boldly to go ahead. The young lady is not interested, or is not going to be going in his bus. This particular person, he said afterwards, when he got to his destination, he later found out that the young lady in question was indeed Mr. Sebastian, who was later pronounced dead on site. So this bus driver, you could imagine his feeling, because he's thinking, well, if I just had stopped and let her in, if I just had contest and say, or still push her to come into the bus, she would have been alive today. But his story, his information that he posted or that we got and that we posted on the website later led police to understand the individual, what he was wearing. And I believe it firmly led to the RGPF making an arrest this morning, very early this morning. Mr. Tobias, was arrested in Lafayette in St. Andrew. Now, there's a lot more to uncover about this story, and this you could imagine is an ongoing investigation by the RGPF. We did in fact contact the RGPF to come on and give us some more information, and they will do let out some information again tomorrow. But that's all we have for now. But in addition, right before showtime, we did get a call. Someone will be calling in the program later to give us additional information. So let's wait on that. But joining us right now on the live is a criminal justice specialist. Her name is, before we bring on our criminal justice specialist, I want to show you guys a report that was published by MTV on that particular gruesome crime. Check this out.
Active police investigation is underway following the death of an 18-year-old female sales representative in the early hours of Tuesday morning in Tivoli, St. Andrew. Police confirmed that the body of Tereshel Sebastian was found lying on the ground at the front of a local supermarket in the area. The incident reportedly occurred shortly after daybreak. The Royal Grenada Police Force have since launched a manhunt for Tereshel's alleged killer, Darren Tobias, a 38-year-old bus driver from Tivoli, La Poterie, St. Andrew. The news of Tereshel's death went viral on social media, reigniting outrage, especially following the recent death of 22-year-old Alejandra Let Hippolyte of Croshu, St. Andrew.
I mean, it is very chilling and it's very frightening. You understand? I mean, I'm saying that based on the whole situation, the young girl and even the guy. And that tells me, that speaks a lot. And I'm saying that, and I hope the young ladies also around that age learn something from that. It's very heartbreaking for the family. You understand what I'm saying? It's a bad stain for the community. You understand what I'm saying? That would be another devastating blow for his family as well. Because we have to remember, whensoever we decide to do something, it don't affect only us as individuals who want to do it. It affects everybody around us. You understand what I'm saying? So whether you is the victim or you is the you understand? So you have grieving family now on the both sides. You understand what I'm saying? And so we have to take those things into consideration. We have to take those things into consideration. We cannot be that selfish, you understand what I'm saying?
Another concerned citizen is urging young women to remain vigilant and to seek help when facing threats or any form of harassment.
Stand your ground. Know what you're taking part in. It's very disheartening that we've seen that the men are vulturizing our young ladies by the side of the road and leaving them like if them as dead animals. And there is no support for that. There is no support for that. And I believe every home, every gangsters on the street, every corner, we are all part and parcel of family. We have sisters, we have cousins, we have nephews, we have everybody. So we need to not one day support this thing that is going on there.
While many tried to come to terms with the tragedy and what would have triggered the situation, MTV News was told by a family member that the victim was in an alleged relationship with her apparent killer, who refused to accept her decision to end their lovers' partnership. The family member also told our news desk that reports were filed with the police regarding Darren Tobias' non-acceptance to accept and stay away from Tereshel. According to reports, the 18-year-old was returning to work following her 2 weeks sick leave and left home at around 4:45 a.m. to catch her usual bus. Police investigators have since obtained video footage from a nearby business which shows the apparent suspect striking the young woman multiple times in her face with a blunt object. For MTV News, Lily Pascal.
You guys, how did there? Joining us right now is criminal justice specialist Rachel Charles. Rachel, that part there kind of touched me in a kind of rough way again because I saw a piece of that video and it just flashed back, and I should have never looked at that video because it just played back in my mind the way how this man, this monster of an individual, took this young girl's life. Rachel, welcome to the program. How are you?
Thanks for having me. I'm good, thanks. But I haven't watched, I haven't seen a video, but hearing that portion of the news, I hadn't heard that before. So to hear it and think of how graphic that could have been is really, it's heartbreaking. It makes me angry. Yesterday when I heard it, I was literally shaking with anger, because you just think we had Alejandra Let a week ago and here we are again. But it really brought home, like listening to it just brings me back to, you know, where I've been for the last 20 years. Because as you say, I'm a criminal justice specialist. That's one of the hats that I wear. And I spent over 20 years managing teams and cases that ranged from domestic abuse, sexual offending, gangs, murder, child safeguarding. And that meant that I managed offenders and teams of probation officers and would be going through risk assessments, reports. And so, you know, what happened to Miss Let with the person who was released, those were the kind of risk assessments that I would be doing every day to decide who should be let out, whether there's a recommendation for release, you know, what does safe look like, and who is posing serious harm. So yeah, it really hits home the gravity of what we're dealing with.
Yeah. Richard, we heard from that report. One, we have a individual who refused to accept the fact that this relationship or whatever relationship that they had could not continue. We even heard that there was some sort of restraining order against him. So obviously there wasn't some sort of relationship. What is how can we help the audience understand the difference between domestic abuse and other forms of interpersonal violence?
Well, I do have a little bit of an issue calling this a relationship. And every time I've spoken about it and called it a relationship, I've had air quotes, because I'm not sure if we can really look at it in terms of being a relationship. This was not two people who were of, you know, on equal standing coming into a union. This was a young girl who was 18, and whether we say that she was the age of consent or an adult, she's 18, and this was a man who was 38. There is a 20-year age gap. And when you have 20 years, think about everything that he would have done in his 38 years of life. There is, you know, finishing school, getting a job, being married. As far as I understand, I don't know if he had kids. He's lived a full enough life at 38. Right. And here you have a young girl who has just finished school. This may have been one of her first jobs, if not her first job. She is just setting foot into adulthood. It's very difficult to see that as a relationship. And what we're looking at is grooming. So yes, there's domestic abuse taking place, but this is pure grooming, because we know whatever age she was when this relationship started, it couldn't have started at 18. This had to have been a long-standing process of him getting her to trust him. And when you were opening that the segment, you were saying that he has been a close friend and confidant, and I thought, there we have it. That is grooming, because grooming goes through cycles. And one of the first cycles of grooming is when you target somebody who might either be young or vulnerable in some way. And then the next step is gaining their trust. So now you start being their friend and you're their confidant, and you are the person that they go to when they need help. There may be financial gain, you know, maybe she needs money for buses or that kind of thing, and she's just starting life. And then, you know, it moves through different cycles until it gets to the part where she realizes she's in over her head, or the person realizes they're in over their head, and they are too scared to come out and too scared to say anything. And there's blackmail that comes in that as well, because you could be hearing, you know, I've done all of this for you, how can you leave me? Nobody else understands you as much as I do. And this is how you get caught in that cycle. And this is why I say as well that it's very difficult I can't really look at this. It's a relationship in that there were two people together, but we have to look at it as what it is, as grooming. And that is something that's really rife in our community.
Grooming. You know, a lot of people sometimes look at this, and especially domestic violence, and sometimes they can't really understand where domestic violence starts to where it ends. I remember we having this conversation, I believe it was you or someone else in the field was telling me domestic violence really starts when that person starts telling you, you can't wear this, or you shouldn't wear that, or you shouldn't put that on. And as subtle as it might seem at the time, it is sort of leading you up. Talk to us about the stages of domestic, the psychological into the physical attribute of domestic violence.
It's very subtle. And the thing is, just before I heard the news, I had done a video on my page about the difference between, and being very clear on the language we're using about domestic violence as opposed to domestic abuse. Many professionals have moved away from using the word domestic violence, because violence denotes that there was some form of harm, and that's physical harm. And it doesn't encompass the fact that domestic abuse in relationships usually start emotionally and psychologically, and you don't usually have, and with that you don't have bruises. And so that's where a lot of people don't actually understand that you're in an abusive relationship, because you don't have black eyes. But domestic abuse encompasses the fact that a lot of the abuse that takes place in those kind of relationships are emotional and psychological. And like you said, it's slow creep. It is something that starts softly and you don't even understand it. It's very subtle. So where you said, you know, somebody might say, like, to be fair, I really love your shirt, Junior, but you know, it might be, you know, someone could say, don't wear that shirt, you know, I don't like it. It could be right. It could be that, you know what, the shirt doesn't go with the shoes, or it doesn't match the occasion. You have to understand the intention and the context behind it. But where there is absolutely nothing wrong with it, but there is this need to control how you dress, how you look, where you go, you know, that's where you start seeing the red flags. But it starts off quite subtly, because it's like, oh, you're my man or you're my woman, I don't want you looking as, you know, you have to look a certain way. And so you could interpret that as being caring. But depending to the extent that it happens, when you see it as more a controlling nature, that's when it starts shifting, and you can identify it as being as being abusive. I can give you an example, because one of the things, and the reason why these two cases have hit me in ways, because on a professional note, this is stuff that I've dealt with every day. But on a personal note, I've been through an abusive relationship myself. And I remember the ex at the time said to me, oh, you're wearing this dress and it's so revealing. And I just come from work. And as you can imagine, I'm working in probation. There's no way that I can wear something that's revealing. There's a professional dress code. And I thought, is this guy okay? And I put the dress back on and I said, what's wrong with it? And he couldn't say anything, because the dress, it literally came up to here. It was like an A-line dress, if you know what that is. And it just kind of skimmed my knee. But it was a really nice dress. And I know I looked good that day. But in his eyes, he needed to control it and didn't want me to look a certain way, because they want to control how you look in order to have that control over your body. And this was one of the times when I realized something is wrong here, because you're having an issue about how I dress, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with what I wore. So it starts off subtly, and you really have to look for the signs, because many people will be in abusive relationships and they don't know.
Right. So how do you nip that first stage? Because they say you give somebody an inch, they're taking a foot, they're taking a yard. So how do you nip that so it don't get to the next level, where when you start to get slapped and boxed and kicked?
Sometimes it never even gets to slap, box, and kick. That's the thing. So you
Right.
could stay in emotional and psychological abuse and never get to the physical stage, because it could also be financial, it could be sexual abuse that if you're in a relationship with somebody or you're married and you have to give your due, it could be okay, it's not sexual abuse because I'm married, and it actually could be. But you have to look, the signs are there. If you ever feel uncomfortable in a situation, that's when you have to start looking at, am I in a space where I'm safe? If you are, because you should be able to speak your mind. If you ever feel that you're walking on eggshells, then something's wrong. There's something that I read some time ago, and it was called the 333 rule. And it might not work for everybody, but you look at, okay, you've just met somebody and you've been on, say, for example, 3 dates. Judge how you feel after those 3 dates. Is there anything about that you're thinking, oh, maybe I should give it a chance and I'm not too sure? If you feel that you have to push through some things, and it doesn't mean that you have to end it, but it means that you just have to look a little bit closer and use some discernment. You've been around this person for 3 weeks. Again, look at how, what the text messages look like. How are you? Are you speaking to them and they're always like, where are you? You're leaving work? Who's there? What are you doing? If it's stuff like that where you can see there's no trust, they are constantly questioning, and it's not just normal questioning, it's having to be aware of having to report on every single part of your day, then something's not right. And 3 months later, how do you feel as well? So nothing about it. Sometimes it is just genuine, and that's how the person is. But you also have to look at, is this something that I can live with if it's something that is making you feel uncomfortable? And there's also that thing where, people say, don't talk to people about your relationships. But if you are feeling uncomfortable, talk to somebody, because sometimes you do need somebody else to think, am I going crazy here? And that's one of the things. If you ever sit there and you think, am I going crazy? Am I imagining this? That's a huge red flag. Because
Right.
when you start doubting yourself, it means that person may have been sowing seeds in there to make you stop trusting your own intuition and lean on them when you don't need to be.
And that barrier that is created when someone block you, or they might want to put you against your family, your mother, your brother, or your brother don't like you, your sister don't like you.
Yep.
What is the intention of that person? Because I heard that is very purposeful. That whole
It is.
move is very purposeful. Tell me about that.
Isolation is a big tool when it comes to manipulative people and abusers. They need you isolated so you don't have a support system. So the only person you have to depend on is them. Your sister don't like you, your brother don't like you, your mother talking about you, don't see how they just treat you. It's only me that does this for you. What have they done for you? Or this person is talking about you. Why are you always going to your mother for this? Or why your sister always coming over here? Isolation, they might ask you to move away. There may be family events and they're saying, oh no, we can't go because there's something else they need to do, and it's nothing. The whole reason for that, as I said, is to get you away so you don't have a support system, so other people cannot see what you can't see,
Right.
so that you don't have the other people around you who might say, you know what, Junior, something don't look right here. They don't want that. And
Right.
when they put that barrier between you and them, the only person you have is them. So when things start to go wrong and your eyes open and you realize, hold on, I am in an abusive relationship, it's very difficult now for you to go back to the same family members who you
Yes.
should be leaning on, because what you don't want to hear as somebody who's in that abusive relationship is, I told you so. Or, you don't, because sometimes people do that,
Right.
So that's the whole reason why. So even when you realize you're in an abusive relationship and you want to get out, you can't go anywhere, because this person now is the one person who you have to rely on. And when they know that, they no longer have to put on the mask and play nice anymore.
Right.
They
Right.
can just be who they've always been and been hiding from you from before.
And I oftentimes see situation, and that's not particular or specific to this particular situation here, but I've seen situations where the individual that has that opportunity to control the other individual sometimes body shame that person, right? And drop their self-esteem to the point where they feel
Yeah.
like they are less than a person. I remember
Yeah.
having a counsel session, a conversation with a young lady. She was suicidal, right? And one time she called about 11 o'clock in the night, and she felt lower than the floor. And one of the things, after I get to understand her situation, the person that she was with would constantly tell her that, look at you, no man go want you, look at one breast bigger than the next. And
Yeah.
she felt as if she was nothing,
Yeah.
absolutely nothing, right? So tell us about that. How could women build their self-esteem when they are placed in a situation like such, to sort of build that strength to fight what is possibly to come?
It's difficult because what you've explained there. So, for example, the body shaming and that kind of thing. This is somebody that you have let all your guard down, so they know you inside out, physically, mentally. You've told your secrets to. You've told how your life is, and then they might turn around and say, "Oh, look at you! Nobody ain't gonna want you," and all that kind of stuff. Like you say, one breast longer than the other, and your bottom this, you that kind of thing. This is somebody that you love. And when you hear that coming out of the mouth of the person that you love, even if something in the back of your mind is telling you this can't be real, you're going to believe it because it's coming from the person you love and has told you that they love you. This is where, you have to, this is the difficult part, because in order to start loving yourself and understanding that what is happening is against your greater good, you have to get out. It's not easy to do, and I'm saying it like, that one sentence, you have to get out, but that's the only way that sometimes you can start rebuilding yourself to come back. And I say again, from a personal note, I went through a lot of that, the body shaming, nobody's going to want you, you've got 2 kids, all that kind of stuff. And it wasn't until there's some times when I go back into pictures and I look at myself and I think, wow, I didn't even enjoy myself at that age because I thought I was fat. I thought, I did, and I'm like, she had a figure. She
Yeah.
looked all right, but I was told I didn't. I was told I looked a certain way. And that's the thing, you look in the mirror and you see it, but because the person you care about is telling you that, you think it must be true. Maybe if they're seeing it, then other people are seeing it, and it really messes with your head, which is why if you're coming out of that situation, you need to have trauma, you need to have counseling. You will be traumatized. Many people have been diagnosed with PTSD coming out of domestic abuse relationships and complex domestic abuse relationships, because it is literally a systematic breaking down of your self-esteem, how your confidence, to the fact that it will affect every part of your life. And sometimes you just hold on to what is going well in terms of your job, but your self-esteem, like you said, is through the floor. And so
Yeah.
it takes time for you to you literally have to try to remember who you are, get back in touch with the people who can build you up. And because that's one of the things as well, because when you've been isolated, it's very difficult to know who to trust, but you have to start building back that village, getting around other women who can build you up. And yeah, just trying to get back. I say try to get back to yourself, but you can never get back to who you were, but you can get back to a stronger version of who you are based on what you now know and
Right.
what you've been through.
The sad thing, when we have this conversation, we often talk about what women need to do this. Someone actually told me, they said, well, if more women went and do martial arts, then they could better protect themselves. If more women were to have mace in their purse or knife in their purse or some sort of defensive ways in their purse, then that would not have happened. But isn't that not looking at the real problem? The real problem is men. I mean, a woman my daughter, my wife, whoever should be able to walk down the street without anybody harassing them or want to grab them or anything like that. So
Exactly.
men, we need to talk to men. We need to focus.
Yeah.
Why is some men can't control the damn self?
Exactly. I'm not against women learning self-defense. I've done it. I know there's certain things that I do when I'm walking down the road by myself because you never know who you're going to meet. But this is like telling, you're telling the person, you protect yourself because there's something dangerous out there. But the something dangerous are our cousins, our brothers, are the same people in our own communities. And we're not telling them, like you said, what is wrong with you? Why are you looking at women as if they are objects, as if they are just nothing, that don't have, you can't respect them in terms of their life, in terms of their own agency, that you think that you have control over their bodies, to that degree that now women are having to arm and tool themselves, when there needs to be the conversation, in all of the aspects of society, from school, in college, in the homes, saying that this is not acceptable. But there is a lot that we have seen, in our communities that makes it okay. And I think this is why it's so difficult to address. I mean, I grew up seeing women being beaten in the middle of the road. I've seen, and sometimes beaten to the point where all their clothes come out. And I think as well, that's why it's so difficult sometimes to move away from the understanding of domestic violence as to a domestic abuse, and actually understand that the psychological abuse is what keeps you there. It's not the beating, and because you're so, it's the psychological abuse, because you just think, what else can I do? But when we have grown up in society, seeing that, we've heard the women screaming because we know they're getting licks and nobody is doing anything, we become desensitized to it.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so even though we know it's wrong, where you hear a woman bawling and then all of a sudden the bawling stop and we go on with our lives, police didn't come, we just go about, it's just normal. Yeah, that's what happens. And then sadly, every so often, one of them might die, It's just like normal, that stuff that happens in our community. And that is for domestic abuse, it's for grooming, it's for incest, it's for all of it, sadly.
Right. You spoke about, guys, you're watching Right Along Live, and we can open up the phone and you guys could call in at any time, because I think it's important that we have this conversation, right? We also, in the later part, I want to talk to you about how the police got this monster of an individual. We're speaking about Tobias, who so gruesomely murdered this young girl. It was captured on a CCTV TV, where this man basically took a massive blunt object, as you heard in the news broadcast, and multiple times smashed this young lady in her face. It is the worst thing that you could see. I'm very, 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 very sad that I even looked at it even one time, because it keeps rolling back in my mind. It's a sad thing to see. And I don't know how people could be so animalistic. I don't know how people cannot have that passion. It's someone that you've been with, someone that you claim that you love, that you possibly had some sort of relation with, and you could go as far as not see that person as a human being. I can't get it. I can't get it. But anyway, the phone lines are open, 718-701-5720. Let's have this conversation right here. I want to talk about leaving, because oftentimes that's one of the biggest problem, because some women, they understand what they are up against. They figure and they understand, like, yo, this guy had threatened me multiple times, right? I know what he's capable of. He probably slapped me around a couple of times. I have a bad temper, but I'm scared to leave, right? What is the process? If you could help us go through it a bit. What is the process of moving out of that situation?
It's very difficult. And I think that's what people need to understand as well, because we're very vocal when it comes to, she just needs to leave. And yes, if you're in that situation, the best thing to do is to get out. But statistics show that even thinking about leaving and mentioning leaving there's 3 times when a woman is most likely to die in a domestic abuse situation: when she
Right.
mentions leaving, when she is attempting to leave, and when she's pregnant.
Uh-huh.
So saying to somebody, just get out, the reason why many of them are there is because you cannot just get out and run. I mean, I've been on the phone, I've picked up women, you know, and helped them to get out of those situations, but that is after planning. You have to have a proper plan, because when you run, where are you going to go? If you don't have a financial safety net, you know, for some women, they may be married. He's the person who might be bringing home, you know, it's a really nice life if you don't have to go to work, but then what that does is make you a prisoner in your home. So where do you go? The whole isolation thing as well, you might not be able to go to family members because they may have washed their hands of you, because for years they're telling you come out and you're still there. So it really takes a lot of planning. There are different things. There are spaces for women, I know, in Grenada. The only thing is that it's so small, people know you're there. And you know, you can't really, it's not like you can jump and say you're going on taking a plane to another state. You're still in Grenada. So the kids are more than likely still going to be going to the same school. And if you're going to do the pickup, then there's the danger that you're going to be seeing the person there. It really has to be a well orchestrated plan. And the thing is, you would really, and this is where I think we fail, is that there aren't enough agencies who are working together. So yes, the police are there and they need to show up. Yes, you can have a protection order done by the courts. The schools need to take some responsibility as well, because they have a duty of care if they see something happening to report it. And if, you know, the father comes to the school, and I'm saying father, it could be both, but if the parent who is the aggressor is coming to the school and the person has said, don't let the child go, they cannot let the child go if there is a prevention order or that kind of thing, if that's going on. And you need all the agencies to work together. So it's not an easy thing. Like I said, it's not an easy thing to go. And this is one of the things that I think people really need to understand and remember, that when you're telling them, you know, just leave, it's not that easy, because unless you're going to open your doors to this woman and keep her safe, she can't just get up and go half the time, because where are you going to go with kids and everything in tow? So you do need, it's called safety planning. There's things that you have to do, like if you've got medication and passports and that kind of thing. I've helped people pack go bags and keep it in a safe place, so that when the time comes and you think, okay, this is the time, not going to suspect it, you know where you're going, grab the bag and run, you know. But you really do need to have
plan.
A plan around it.
We got a caller on the line, and also we're going to be joined with Miss Marilyn Marisho in a little bit. But let's jump to the phone line right now. Caller, where are you calling us from?
I'm calling from Brooklyn. Good evening.
Brooklyn, New York. Go right ahead.
And good night to your guests.
Yes.
So, in terms of Grenada and domestic violence and violence against women, we have to look at the culture in Grenada. The culture, so the mindsets, our norms, our molds is what needs to be addressed to change that. Catcalling. I was taught by my father, if somebody was blowing a car horn at you, you don't turn around.
Right.
If they didn't call you by name, what are you looking for? They're not talking to you.
Right.
So that's how I was raised. But at least, thank God, I had a father. I lived with my father. I grew up with my parents. Not everybody has that. The community was more involved in raising children. Nowadays, that does not happen, because what we find, we have children raising children, and there's no grandparents, no elders really.
And that community is not there. That community is not there.
The village is broken.
To help unit, to help younger people and about raising and growing their children. Men have to be more responsible. It's not just a matter of talking to the girls. You know, we still have that mentality. I let go my cock, you tie your hen.
Right.
We still have that mentality. The government, regardless of whatever political side you want to be on, it has nothing to do with the government or politics. I saw a comment just now about that. But it has nothing to do with that. It's about the mindset of the people of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. That is what needs to change. Yes, we have to talk about safety planning. Again, just like she said just now, your hostess. Safety planning involves putting things in place so you can move mom and the children. And we must also remember there's violence against men also. They're much less studied, but it happens. Men are also abused, but we know right now we're focusing on the men because right now it's the men that are doing the violence, the men. But it's teaching and educating children from 2 years old, 3 years old, teaching them about self-preservation. And these things have to happen in schools. Our curriculum needs to be looked at. The world has changed from what we knew when we were children.
Right, absolutely.
So the responsibility is on each and every one of us. We have to stop pointing fingers and leading with our emotions when things happen. We have to start thinking things through and not just follow through with plans and ideas and how to change things. So again, our culture, education, our culture has to change.
And the thing about it is when you say our culture, right, we have this sort of way about us as a people that men should not show emotion. So I know from growing up as a man, as a young man, it was always like if you cry, you're weak, or if you show emotion, then you're not a real man, right? And the boys was always taught to be tough and rough and tumble and this and that. And it's like the culture of our region has always taught young women, be at home, you cook, you clean, and this is your place, right? And that could that possibly be a way of just nurturing bad habits? Like, why shouldn't men show their emotion? Guys have sad moments too, and if you don't have a chance to outlet that build up and that becomes like a cancer inside of you, you will have an outburst. Yeah, you will have an outburst.
So that whole thing, that whole culture, that's why we're talking about culture and the norms and the molds. It needs to change, because why are you telling a little boy he shouldn't cry? He fell. He hurt himself. Why shouldn't he cry?
Right.
So what are you teaching your men? What are you teaching your boys when you do that? Hold everything inside. Hold everything inside, and then when you cannot hold it down anymore because it's past keeping it down, then you explode. When you explode, what do? You become violent.
Yes, that's so true.
So that whole thing about hold it. No, I tell my nephews, it hurts you? Cry, honey. It's okay. And I let them cry. And if anybody says anything to them, I address them.
Right.
Because they fell, they hurt themselves. How else are you going to know that they hurt him? Something happened in school.
Right.
A teacher embarrassed that child. How are they supposed to let you know something happened?
Right.
You see, and conversation, communication is important.
Yeah.
Encouraging children to talk up, asking a child every single day, how was your day today? What happened at school?
Right.
What did you eat? What did you do? What happened? Anything happened? They come home, they're looking kind of sad. Ask the child. Or when you get home from work, ask your children, talk to your children.
Right.
How was school today? Anything happened? Anything I need to know about? That's how you know, and you keep on top of things.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's how you keep on top of things.
Thank you, Paula.
And you have to address things when children come to you and say X. But again, Junior, it goes back to education. Educating parents. We need more parenting classes. We need more people to offer their services, right?
Right.
Even if it's over the phone,
right.
You can. And a lot of us in the diaspora are trained. A lot of us work in social services and different departments. So we have the expertise. We know what we're talking about. We know the signs of intimate partner violence, domestic violence. We know the signs of why when a child withdraws in a classroom and they're no longer speaking out and they're very quiet and so on. You know something is going on.
Right.
Teachers are mandated reporters in Grenada. Nurses, doctors, they are all mandated reporters.
Right.
So are they reporting these incidents? You don't have to know for sure. That's why it's called an investigation.
Right. The whole process.
Children Authority will go out and do their work. You have to just report it. And if they're not doing it, they need to be held accountable.
Absolutely.
So many children are slipping through the cracks, and that's why we constantly, every couple of years, 2 women, 3 women getting killed in a year.
Right.
And then we're leading with our emotions, and nothing happens. We go back to the same thing
over and over
2
again.
weeks later.
Carla, we have to break it off here. I mean, you're making some very very valid point. I want to bring in Jane Marisho.
Yes, do that. Have a good afternoon and good evening, and thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your calling and your great
You're
points.
welcome. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Marisho, welcome. Could you hear us? Okay, hold on. Let me unmute you. Let me see if you're muted on my end. Speak again?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, good. Yeah, welcome. We were speaking earlier about getting out, right? Because oftentimes that is the hardest thing. We have a situation here in this particular instance where we saw that the young lady went through for some phases of attempting to prevent any kind of interaction with this individual. There is a restraining order against him, but that obviously didn't work. He didn't care about that. He still came up to her, met up with her, and did what he did gruesomely. Talk to us, Marisho, about what do you tell your group of women when you do your advocacy? How do you get out of an abusive type relationship?
Oh, okay. So, and I want to before I address that, in our culture, as the caller said, in our culture we are taught to endure, to protect the abuser, because we are protecting them in some way, but this endurance shouldn't cost us our life. And we have 2 types of getting out that I kind of want to talk about, because they are getting out as this young lady attempted to, because she's let's say single, right? And there is getting out as a married person with children. And I want to just share a story of how sometimes we have to think out of the box when we are trying to get out. Sometimes, because there are certain rules, like pack the bags, and to put the passports together, to put the documents together, and put that in a safe place, and do all these things, take pictures and stuff like that. But I'm going to address one thing: the getting out for a single woman. So, and I will share a short story first. I remember years ago, right? I was in this relationship, and I wanted to get out. It wasn't abusive, but I wanted to get out because, even though I didn't know about emotional abuse and control, I kind of realized, as Rachel Platt said, so, you see something and you kind of like, oh, I think I need to mash the brakes right here, right? And it may sound funny now, but what I did, I remember that time he came over and I'm like, oh my God, I have to get out, but I don't know how. I have to get out. And I mean, you know what he came for, right? We are dating and stuff like that. And I remember I said to myself, I have to act. I have to put on an act. So what I did, and as I said, it may sound funny, but what I did, I pretended to be crazy.
Oh.
I pretended. So when, we were there and I was like, and I remember this today, and I had to laugh at my own self. And I said, oh my God, I'm seeing things. Oh my God, somebody's trying to attack me. Who is this? Oh my God. And I called myself in the corner of the room, and I started like speaking like I was speaking in, fake tongues. And I was like, and then he looked like, what's wrong with her? What's wrong with her? And I did it I sure he went on for like 10, 15 minutes. He never see me like that. So And then he left, and I never saw him again. Never, ever saw him again, because he thought in his mind I was crazy. There was a little rumor saying Hermelin is crazy, stay away from her. But I rather that rumor than,
Right.
because I knew he was going to take it if I said, no. And if I said this, and two things that came to mind was something my aunts said. You have to know how to ease your hands out of the lion's mouth. So I knew that. So in my head, I cannot tell him I want to leave, because I said it already and I could see the temperament. So I had to know how to get out. And the only how I knew how to get out in that situation at 21, I had to play crazy.
Wow.
Okay. So sometimes we have to think out of the box. And that's why I say you cannot tell men you are leaving, whether you are single, whether you are married. You cannot say, I'm leaving you next week, I'm leaving you next month, I'm packing, I'm planning. You are giving them the gateway to plan, to either unalive you, to plan, to come back and love bomb you, to switch and bait, to gaslight you, and to tell you all these things, make you feel guilty. Oh, yeah, and as Rich had said, who's gonna take care of you? You have kids. I pay all the bills. Girl, I love you, and all the sweet talks and all this stuff.
One breast is bigger than the next.
Yes, and I could remember clearly, exactly. I remember clearly, my ex saying to me, girl, you're pretty, but you know something, no man is not gonna want you with no child and that big nose you have. And I look at my nose and I look at my nose now and I'm like, I don't think my nose big though, But it's those little things. It's like, so you see how he said it, you're pretty, but.
Right.
So, and that's what keeps us there, because now we are not really focused on the nose. We are focused on I'm pretty.
Right. Right.
You understand? So I think in the dynamics where this young lady's death, I'm not telling you, I'm shaken, Junior. I am still shaken. Like from last week to this week, like I don't even know the young lady, and I just cried. Like cried, because I'm saying, oh my God, if she only knew. And that is why my advocacy is about education, is about educating young girls to spot the red flags while dating, before dating. Know what gaslighting is all about. Know what love bombing is all about. Know what bait and switch is all about. Know these terms. We need to know those terms. As the caller said, education. We need to teach our young girls. Even though my aunt didn't know certain, phrase or words, at least, I remember know how to ease your hands from the lion mouth. Don't be up in his face telling him that you're gonna leave, or trying to fight a man. Certain little things I would hear my grandparents say, my aunt said, came back. So, and I think that is where sometimes we are lacking, that some of the young ladies, they just don't know.
Right.
They just don't know. And that's what I want to do, is just like get the information and educate yourself. Know the terms. Know when he's doing this. Plan your exit, but plan it safely.
Right. Because look at in this situation here, Hermelin and Rachel, you could chime in on this as well. This young lady, she went about it. I'm thinking she probably asked, or she probably know, and they said, file a restraining order against this man. We don't know if, well, of course, if you file as a restraining order, he has to get served, so he obviously know. So he knew that she was in the process of distancing herself from him. Some men, they just can't rationalize themselves with someone leaving them. They feel it should be the other way around, right? So she is distancing herself away from him. Obviously, he found out about it. Is that the right process? Did she go about it right? Or what advice do you tell women in that process? Would you advise them to go seek or go get a restraining order? And how do you go about it?
Oh, Rachel might have a different answer for it, right? But I would say you have to know the person you're dating. You have to know the person you're dating first. So I will say the actions will be based on the person you're dating. If you know you already see violence, you're already being violent towards you, you probably would take that route of the restraining order. But for me, personally me, I know I would run without him knowing. I would personally wouldn't probably take out a restraining order. I will plan strategically and move out of the state. Now I know it's the Grenada, so there may not be a state to go
Right.
to. So that is where the conversation begins. Where do they go?
Yeah, true. And that is the situation. Rachel, was that the right approach? Or do you advise women to go ahead and, get a restraining order?
I agree with what Homolin said. You have to know what you're working with. So if it is a situation where you think, okay, a restraining order is going to put this person in their place where it's going to scare them enough that they're going to leave me alone, then yes, do it. But if it's somebody that you know is unpredictable, volatile, a restraining order might be the worst thing you could do. Because yes, the restraining order is there and and I respect it because of what it does. And it is an order telling you, do not come into this person's field or whatever it is. But it's a piece of paper and the police are not there 24/7. So if you have an inkling that this person is somebody who is going to disregard that, then that's the worst thing you can do. And as Hermelin was saying, it would be the best thing to do is just to go when and hopefully they don't find you or just get out of the way. I mean, I'm never against calling the police. On one occasion, but I've never called the police for myself. And like I said, I was in a long-standing relationship. But what I did was I had a couple of minutes where I was able to get out of the room where I was being attacked. I called my friend and I just whispered, I said, call the police. And I just hung up. And when you have your ride or die, that's my ride or die. And from the minute she heard it, police were at the door. She and her partner were driving up the road towards me. And by the time the police came to the house and took him away, then I called her back and I said, it's fine. It's you don't need to come, because she was calling me after a while to say, am I okay? And that kind of thing. So I knew that if I called the police, there would have been an issue. And I just turned it around and said, oh, the neighbors must have heard, because I also didn't want to say it was my friend.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I said, it must have been the neighbors because you were making noise and they can hear the tumbling and blah, blah, blah. So you have to, in your planning, in it and how you deal with it, you have to be able to judge the person who you're dealing with, because not every tactic is gonna be the best depending on what situation you're in.
Absolutely. Guys, you're watching Right Along Live. We're speaking here with criminal justice specialist Rachel Charles and Hermelin Marichaux. We have a lot more to talk about. The time is just running really fast. We've got to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back. Don't move.
Need a taxi? Download Ride Go from the App Store. Tap the app.
This portion of Hey guys, I was saying this portion of the program is brought to you by SpotPay. SpotPay is a remarkable new app that you could transfer money from friend to friend, from countries. It's based in Grenada, but you could be anywhere really, and send money to a family or friend with your SpotPay app. It's just like Cash App, it's just like Zelle. So download SpotPay right now from your app store. Go to the Ride Along page or go to SpotPay on your Google or Android device. Log in. It takes about 2 seconds to set up the account. Really easy. Check out SpotPay. Let's go back into the conversation right here, guys. We're speaking with Hermelin Marichaux and, of course, Rachel Charles. Rachel, people often say that, okay, going to the police is good. At least you may feel like you get that sort of protection. But the police can't do nothing until something is done to you, right? From a criminal justice perspective, if someone say, well, they threaten you, or they say, well, hey, I'm going to do something to you, and you go to the police and you say, okay, this person said they're going to do something to you, but they never did anything to you, right? And the person, especially sometimes you might be in a relationship, the person may not, the lover or the girlfriend or whatever, may not even want to go forward with it, may not want to press charges because he have that over that particular individual. How could a person, right, handle a situation or deal with a situation like that, knowing that the police may not readily arrest the person for just a threat, because you can't arrest for just a threat. Talk to us from a criminal justice perspective.
Well, you can get arrested for just a threat, because there are things like threats to kill.
Okay.
And what I'm going to say, though, is on the one hand, it goes back to how well do you know the person? And also when it comes to calling the police, you also have to look at how much evidence there is and whether or not there's a likelihood of conviction and what that looks like. And I'm saying that based on being within the criminal justice for 25 years, and I never called the police.
Mm-hmm.
So, I do tell people, and I've called the police for other people when I've seen certain things happening. I've gone and I've broken up men beating women and all that kind of stuff. But when I looked at who I was dealing with, and also going into court every day and then working in probation as well, and seeing that one of the most difficult things to prove in a court was rape and domestic abuse as well. And like I said, I didn't have a lot of bruises, and sometimes, if it was physical, I didn't have that many bruises to talk about. So, I didn't do it. And again, you have to look at who are you dealing with. I never rule out the police, though, because they are there for a reason. But the same way that you call the police, the same way that you get the protection order or harassment order, or whichever it is in your area, is the same way that you also have to look at ways to keep yourself safe. Yeah. You also have to have a support system around you, because sometimes there are the people who you think are in your corner, but they are maybe the same people who are going back and saying she's over here or passing messages and that kind of thing. So you also have to know who to trust. So again, I think as much as the official line would be call the police, but you have to be mindful of who you're dealing with, and thinking if you call the police and there's nothing, sometimes that riles the person up even more. So you have to look at what can I do outside of that. I mean, when I decided that I was going to draw the line and get out of it, it got to the point where I literally held my breath kind of thing and just thought, it's happening. And whatever is going to happen, I am going to face it. And I wasn't able to run. It was my house. Oh. I had to say, you have to get out. I changed the locks and I was shaking like a leaf. Right. When I did that kind of stuff. But
the thing about it too, Rachel, sometimes we have situations where both men and women, they will be in domestic situation and they would go as far as court. And when they get to court, they drop the charges, because they may have a child with the guy. They don't want him to go to jail. And then it might feel like, okay, so what happens when he come out? How should women deal with this situation? Because it goes as far as I've heard of situation where we got calls where this person is being physically abused, like every single day. And family and friends would advise her to go to court, do what you have to do. You'll go as far as go to court. She wouldn't show up. The case is dropped. Nothing came out of it, right? But before you answer the question, let me just jump to the phone. We got a caller on the line. Let's take that caller. Caller, live, where are you calling us from? On the direct phone line. Go right ahead.
On the U.S.
U.S., go right ahead.
From the U.S.
Yes.
I have two things that really aggravate me about our country. And this is one, the violence and abuse against women and pretty larceny that's tolerated. We are tolerating this, or else we would change it. Decent men in Grenada need to step up. Step up. Prominent men are engaged in this also. They need to step up. The laws of our nation need to be harsh. Men have to hold men accountable. Brothers have to step up. Fathers need to look in and step up, because
testosterone does not go up against testosterone. I have 6 brothers, and they protected me just by being 6 brothers and a father. And when women don't have that type of protection, if I tell a guy I have 6 brothers, he checks himself immediately because he knows what he's coming up against. But if the laws of our nation are strong and harsh to protect women, this will stop. There are countries in the Middle East where people know if they steal, their hands will be cut off. So why are we putting up with men harming birthers of we are the birthers of the world? I'm indignant about this whole situation. It should never happen. We are the ones that birth humans.
Yes.
So if a man is going to conceive these things and harm a woman, he should be harmed. He should be hung. But to deter it, the laws have to be in place so that he wouldn't even consider it.
Right.
He wouldn't consider it. If he has to, then he will probably take his life because he's made a decision to harm her, and then he'll know he has to harm himself, or he'll be harmed. But we talk and we talk, and we do this for decades. We don't have the laws in place. We don't have the laws in place to deter.
Right.
And until we do, this is a waste of time.
Yeah. Call, stay on the line there. I want to play this back. I know I asked a question before, but I want to play this back. This was the Prime Minister yesterday in Parliament. Tell me what you think. Let's play this back.
And it cannot instill values in them. The young man, we put in him. What values have they put in him so that violence to the point of a homicide is something that he will engage in? So I'm not going to get up and suggest that any government, any legislator, any parliament is going to solve domestic violence. It will not. And pretending to do so is going to be hypocritical, and you will have more violence. So if we don't go back to behavior and values, because the values will influence the behavior, we are not going to even begin to make a dent in this challenge.
Is the Prime Minister right in this instant right here? Does Parliament have a role to play there? Or is it just that?
For laws,
Yeah. Go ahead.
for passing laws, because you cannot legislate anything in a home in terms of morals. You have to pass legislation such that the deterrence is in place. If somebody drives too fast, they get a ticket.
Right.
So if somebody is harming, there has to be a penalty, harsh penalties in place. So that these guys will understand, if I touch her, I'm going to die. If I touch her, I'm going to lose a limb. There have to be, if we don't have deterrence, there's no society. I don't care who is teaching God or what in a house. It's not going to do anything if that deterrent isn't in place.
Right. All right. Thank you, caller. Thank you. We appreciate your input on this.
I appreciate you for airing this. This is passion for me and for all the women that I know. I know plenty women who have suffered in this regard silently, because Grenada is a sweep it under the rug nation. We hide stuff. We see stuff next door and we say nothing. So we sweep everything under a rug. And I just thank you for airing this, because this needs to change, and soon.
Right. Thank you, caller. We appreciate you as well.
Thank you, Junior.
Yeah. Rachel, is the Prime Minister right? Does Parliament need to step up where this is concerned more to protect women?
I think it's a everybody problem. We all have our part to play. With Tereshel's death, legislation wasn't going to do anything there because he wasn't under any there was, whether it was a police report or whether it was a protection order, I don't know, because I've heard police report. I haven't heard that there was a protection order, but technically there was no legislation that's stopping him, as opposed to the previous person where he had come out of prison and things like that. So there you would be looking at what was involved. But then we have to look at, and with what the caller was saying as well, is what's happening in our communities, because one of the things that was said earlier was, you know, we're telling boys, don't cry, man up, and that kind of thing. And what we're telling them basically is don't be girls, because that's been said how many times? You're crying like a girl, you're running like a girl, you throw like a girl, which means that we are instilling in them that anything that is not great is like a girl. And then, so how are they meant to grow up and respect women when their entire psyche, their entire value system is not being taught how to be men and how to respect women? Is just don't be a girl. So you cannot expect young boys to grow up into men to have respect for women if it's never been instilled in them. And one of the other things is there's a lot of talk about single mothers, and this is one of those that I really do get a bee in my bonnet about, because there are parents on both sides. There are a lot of single mothers who have dropped the ball big time and are growing up young men who are menaces in society, right? But we never look at the single parents where the father has died. You know, it's all, for some reason we never look at that, because we say single mothers are work, but there's silence when it comes to the fathers that you can be a single mother for so many different reasons, but that's not the issue. And if you are a single mother, then where's the father? Because if you're so bad as a mother, then why doesn't the father, who would be a good influence when he was in the home, take the children and look after them? This is where I say it's an everybody problem. The village is broken because nobody in the village can say something to a child, because sometimes parents would, don't talk to my child, all that kind of stuff. It's the school has to take responsibility, the community, but parents as well. Somebody spoke about parenting classes. I think Jane, you spoke about parenting classes as well. It's needed because there's children making children. There's children out at all times of night. There are children who are in houses that are hearing things just based on the makeup of our houses that they should never be exposed to, but it's just the culture and how some of our houses are made, and they are seeing and exposed to things at a very young age that they shouldn't. It's a really huge problem. And I've been saying for the whole week that, it's like the gate has been open for a long time, and the horses have bolted. Some of those horses have, you can't get them back. But still, we have a duty for the younger generation, and I still have faith in the younger generation. I think they're a little bit more emotionally have a bit more emotional understanding than some of the older heads. But we have a duty to start instilling, proper values in the younger people, and it starts in the home. So as much as we want to turn around and say, legislation and all that kind of stuff, by the time they get to school, as the people will say, they drink water already. By the time they get to school, they already have grown up in a certain pattern that might not be good. So it needs joint working. The family, schools, the community. There's people in the community as well. I remember having a conversation with someone, and then I was speaking to people who are part of like the community groups and things, and saying, why are we not having the conversation? And what was told to me was, they know where I live. So it's like, you don't want to say anything. You're part of what should be the solution, but you don't want to say anything because what, you think they're going to do something to you?
Right. Jane, any input on that?
Yeah, my take on it as well. Let's start in the home. Start in the home with some discipline, some morals, some values. As Rachel said, some of our conversations have gotten too slack, within the household. So, and I see it. So I'm not saying something that's just up in the air. I have seen some of the things that children, not just boys, but children see in the household, and that influences them. And what I would just urge young ladies or young women who have young children to do, and which I did at some point. If you have, not all men are abusive, not all men are bad. Sometimes you just have a child with a man that he doesn't work out, but he's a good guy. Keep that man and that child life. keep that man in that child's life. Don't let your emotions rule you. Because when, especially boys, I have two boys, especially when boys turn around 11, 12, 13, I just think they should just be hand over to the fathers, because between 11 and 17, I think is like they don't hear us anymore.
I
We
hear
might
that.
be still tough, and I hear my sons are 29 and 22, and sometimes they laugh now when they say that, oh mommy, after a while we won't listen to you because you are a woman, like what, like you a girl,
They need
like
to hear, they need to hear
yeah.
that
He said
male.
we need to hear the get up, what are you doing, you and these are two boys telling me, and I was like, and so they were saying you did the right thing when they were 13. I was like, no, I need that father, uncle, cousin to be in their life, and they were saying you caught us in the right time, because
Wow.
we needed that man's voice. So I'm saying to young ladies, put your emotions aside. And we're not talking about abuse here. We're just talking about just being in a relationship, just co-parent. Try to co-parent, because these boys need that rough, tough voice after in their teenage years.
We got a caller on the line.
Unfortunately,
Let us jump to this caller right here. We have about 5 more minutes before we wrap up. We really went a little bit over time there on the conversation, and we really appreciate it. I think we should do this more often. Seriously,
There should
because
be a series now.
right.
conversation that we have, so we could be less reactive to this type of stuff instead of we should be more proactive. Got a call on the line. Caller, where are you calling us from?
Toronto.
Toronto, go right ahead.
Yes, I'm just calling to say the question you asked about the Prime Minister's statement in Parliament yesterday,
Yes.
because I was looking at Parliament, and I take it in the context what he was saying, because I saw a lot of things on Facebook where people were sort of bashing him. But he was not saying that the government is not responsible. He was saying that, to me, in the context I get, that the government cannot do everything. And he was right. It is the parents' responsibility to raise the children. The government is there to set laws, rules, or whatever it takes. Because we have a tendency to put everything the government has to do. Yes, the government would look into that. And I'm pretty sure they would set laws, or most stringent laws, to try to see if they could help avoid this thing. But we know crime is not something that the government themselves could avoid, because the minds of people is the mind of people. The government could say, okay, we're going to go back to the electric chair tomorrow. And people would know tomorrow you would be put to death. And they would wait for tomorrow to come and probably still go and commit a crime. It is the mind of the individuals. So people have to sometimes listen, and when the Prime Minister speaks and say things, to take it into the context in which it is said. One of the other things I want to say too, I'm an older man right now, but what happened from way back in Grenada, way back, the trend has been set for men to physically abuse women. And it was like nothing. I saw a policeman as a boy. I wouldn't call the policeman name. He's dead now. But his children and I were friends. Took a coconut bat and beat his wife right in front of the Seventh-day Adventist Church in Paradise. Beat the daylight out of her with a coconut bat for something that she did, which probably you can put two and two together. But the fact about it, and to everybody it was okay, because people are wrong jeering, some people saying stop, and all of these different things. The other thing that helped create this atmosphere now, because as time go by, the world change. Young people are not like when most of us were growing up. And when a woman got beaten by a husband or a boyfriend or whatever, and you try to say something, they would stand up against you and say, that's my man, my husband, take him out of it. I see parents get cursed by their own children for standing up for those physical abuse. So now this is what it has become because it was so accepted.
Yes.
And a lot of young people grow up with that. I brought a young man here to Canada to help him.
Yeah.
And one of the terms that he used, it made me wonder because I had a little girl in my house. And he was saying, you know, we have a saying back home, after 12 is lunchtime. I said, what do you mean by that? Well, after 12, they can take it. And to them, it's like a glory thing, accepted thing. And then again, the last thing I would see, with the new legislation that the government brought in not too long ago, with this thing where kids as 12 or whatever can go to a teacher or go to a police officer or go to a pastor, and so that a lot of Grenadians are saying it is not their role. That's the role of the parents. Now, when the crime comes in, it becomes the role of the government. And we have to look at that, because when I saw that legislation, because I look at Parliament all the time, I thought it was one of the best things that could have happened, because many times kids got abused and they were afraid to go to their parents, because if you tell your parents, a boy hold my hand, why did you let him hold your hand? And it's a slap. It's a slap. I went to SAS, and when kids enter Form 1, believe it or not, Junior, you went to SAS to what do you say? When kids enter Form 1, there are some Form 4 and Form 5 boys, men, young men, that are after the Form 1 girls.
Yeah.
We saw that. We learned that it was accepted. Nothing was done about these things. I think one of the things that the government, they want the government to do something. What the government must do now, if they discover that a kid under a certain age is having sex, a young girl in particular, look for the young man. If the parents knows, the parents should be charged. Something has to be done in a very stringent way to stop this physical and sexual abuse.
Yes.
Because when you look at it, an 18-year-old, when we were growing up, 18-year-old, you have
we have to kind of wrap it up, because we kind of out of time.
I'm wrapping up. You have to hide because you don't want your parents to know that you have a boyfriend or a girlfriend. But now, everything is blasé.
Yeah.
And that's where the problem lies right now.
Okay. Yes. Very valid point, caller. We appreciate you. You listen to response on the live.
You're welcome.
All right. Yeah. What's your take, Rachel, on the caller?
Yeah. It's all of our it's for all of us to deal with, and for the communities to step in, really, to take responsibility and instill certain things in children. It's not for, we can't sit here and say it's the government when we're the people who are having the children,
Right.
So yes, the legislations need to be there. Yes, we need to look at whether or not they're being enforced and hold them to account. But the children are coming out of our individual homes. There was something that I wanted to just go back to, where Kamilin was saying you had the support of their dad, which was really great. But I didn't want to leave the women out who don't have that support, because some of them might be like me. I didn't have that support. I had to rescue my kids, because as much as he made the kids, they were as much victims as I was in terms of emotional and violent abuse. So I had to get them out of that situation as young men, because I didn't want them to grow up thinking that type of behavior was okay. And as much as, again, I also have 4 brothers, I didn't have the support from them that some people with 4 brothers would have. So I had to take it upon myself to say that I have to be the person to instill what needs to go into them. I never grew up with my mom saying to me, wait until your dad gets home. My mom dealt with it when it needed to be dealt with. If my dad was there, he dealt with it as it needed to be dealt with. And so I knew that because the buck stopped with me, I had to do what had to be done to bring those 2 boys up to be respectable people in society. So again, it doesn't matter what the makeup of your house is. Everybody needs to take responsibility for being the parent who instills those values in terms of respect and in terms of how you go about and treat others with respect around you as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. Rachel, your closing thoughts on final assessment before we wrap it up.
Yeah, I think that was it. We really have to be mindful. We have to be vigilant. We have to look at those who are around us and notice the changes in people. You know, if you've got a good friend and you see that they're looking, you know, they're not the same way that they were, or you've got a child in your house and they've gotten a little bit secretive, or something's not right. They're coming home with gifts. They've got more money than they had, new shoes and that kind of thing. And you know they're not working for that much. Ask the questions, hold them to account. Because when you're silent and you think that, oh, you know, this person giving my child money, it's not easing up your pocket. You're putting them in harm's way and allowing it to happen. So, and as a community as well, this is where we have to come together and say, you know, if I saw, you know, like Jade, if your kids were younger and I have to be able to feel comfortable enough to say, Junior, you know, or I know your son, I know your mom, this is not right. And as parents, don't take it as a personal jab, because I think that's some of the reason why a lot of parents don't say nothing, and it's because they take it as a personal dig at their parenting where they may be lacking and they need support. None of us are islands. We do need to you know, take on that support where it's needed. There is an event. Am I allowed to say it?
Yeah. Go right ahead. Go right ahead.
There's an event taking place on the 7th of March at the Gateway Assembly. It's called The Pivot, From Purpose to Power. It is for women. It's the day before International Women's Day. And on that day, we are calling all Grenadian women to come out, and we are going to be talking about finances so that you are clear in how you can leverage your finances so that you're not succumbing to financial abuse. We're talking about parenting. That segment is called It Takes a Village. So it's really poignant with what's happening now. And also we're looking at health, because sometimes as women, we take it on and our physical health suffers and also our mental health. So, you know, we need all women, bring your voices. This is a time where we need to come together to network, support, upbuild each other and leave with a plan. So yeah, come along on the 7th of March. Tickets are on GoToFet, and I look forward to seeing you there.
Absolutely. I might just pass in, check it out.
Yes.
All right. Marisha Hermelin, your closing thoughts.
Okay, I will close with saying, know the manipulative tactics used to control you. I have a free download. I will post it in the chat after this. That you can download is the 17 top manipulative tactics used to control you. Before you start dating, after you start dating, parents, speak to your children, have conversations with your children, you know, real conversation with your children, give them scenarios that they can use. And for the women who are in relationships and stuff like that, as I said, think out of the box. Even if you have to come up with a story saying, hey, you know, I'm focusing on school right now, so I cannot be in a relationship or something like that, just to get out safely. Because you are not weak for staying. You are not rebellious for leaving. Safety is wisdom. We have to use wisdom, and, you know, you deserve peace in your home and peace in your life. So I say, you know, we have to save ourselves sometimes, as Rachel said. You know, we have to save yourself. Save yourself.
Save yourself.
Save yourself and save yourself.
Absolutely. Let's take this final call. That's going to be the last caller before we shut it off. Yeah, caller, you like your final caller. Go right ahead. Where are you calling?
Hi, good evening, everyone. New York.
Yes, go ahead, New York.
Good evening, ladies. I'm listening. I was on the train, and I'm so grateful that I had him get home to say something. I'll make it quick.
Yes.
I'm listening to you guys from the beginning, and I don't hear anyone bringing what I want to really hear, what we grew up on. God. We grew up on when we go to bed at night, we pray. We get up in the morning, we pray. And the problem today, especially in Grenada, and I know other countries, but I know Grenada, we used to do that. But now, mothers now not teaching their children to know God. to pray. The young lady just said, be vigilant. How can you be vigilant and they don't have no God in them, nothing concerning God? They will talk to them about God. I know growing up, my grandma, my aunt, my uncles tell us, when you put yourself with a man who is married, curse going to take you. Your blight going to take you and your children. You have to stay away from this thing. Even though you in a relationship with that man and he left you and go marry someone else, cut it out. Don't let it come back to you. It's finished. Mm-hmm. And this is what we have to grow our children in today. Because the Bible tells us if we don't grow up our children the way they should, when they die in the sin, their blood requires on our head. And that's what the parents don't know. Whatever some of the children did today, because sometimes I say I blame the parent, and I always say sometimes the parent need to go to jail for the kids, because they grow up the kids to the world, only the world. How to dress, how to have the best phones, how to do this. And if they don't have it, they go do all wrong things to get it. And this is what happened to the young ladies today. They have no God in them. Right. If you have no Holy Spirit in you right along, the temper will tempt you. But if you have a little of God in you, and when the temper comes to tempt you, you will remember a little of that little your grandma, your mother told you about God, and that's going to overcome you. The Bible said to resist the devil and he shall flee from you. Right. If you don't have no Holy Spirit in you, how can you resist the temper when it comes to tempt you? You only have in you is the temper.
Okay.
How Satan could destroy Satan? That cannot happen. God has to be in you to call on him, say, God, what I am doing, help me. And that temper we're going to flee from you, because you say resist him. But if you don't have God in you, how can you resist the temper to leave you alone? That the young man, it can happen because no God in us.
Right.
Right,
thank you so much.
People don't have no God in them.
Thank you so much for your input. We really appreciate you. We got to wrap up right here. Harmelin, Marisol.
Thank you for listening to me. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks
so
again.
So much to say about God. I wonder where along.
Yeah.
If you could take my number, and whenever you have a program concerning something, call me, please.
Yeah, text me your number. Text me your number and information.
Teach them about the Word of God, because I teach Bible lessons.
Okay. All right. Good. So go ahead. Text me and I'll save your contact information. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being a part of our program, Harmelin and Rachel, for joining us. You know, the problem that we see, and the problem that we're going to continue to see, is that there are very few role models in our society. People who are supposed to stand up, people who are supposed to help, mentor. There are a lack of mentorship, role models in our community. And people who are supposed to be at that level, or some people that you think that you would look up to them, they're acting worse than kids. So how you expect the kids and them to act, or the younger ones to act, when the adults are acting like bare idiots, right? We need to do better, right? And to the family, again, we want to send out our condolences. And we're going to continue to follow the story and update you on this story. I am also want to say thanks to the Royal Grenada Police Force for doing a remarkable job in apprehending that monster of an individual who did that to this young lady in Tivoli. It was really gruesome. I'm trying to get it out of my head. Although I try, I can't get this thing out of my head. Anyway, guys, don't forget also, we are going to Africa. We are going to Ghana. It's Touch Africa. And although it's late and you guys missed the first and second get together of not the get together. We actually went through phases. So we are at the third phase right now, second phase right now. We still have 2 spots if you want to jump in on our Africa trip. That is from April 16th to the 26th. It's Touch Africa. If you want to be a part of it, you can call this number right now. Call it tonight. The number is 347-942-4641. That's 347-942-4641. We're going to Ghana. We're taking a team with us to Ghana. It's an amazing 10 days in the motherland. Again, the number is 347-942-4641, or go to touchafrica.com, Africa with a K, touchafrica.com. Again, you could call 347-942-4641. Also, I want to say hi and thanks to all of our sponsors. We have Spot Pay. Don't forget, guys, you could download Spot Pay in the App Store, and you could use Spot Pay just as how you'd use your Zelle or your Cash App. Spot Pay is amazing. Go and check out Spot Pay right now. In fact, I'm gonna put the link for Spot Pay in the chat. Thanks to the Grenada Lottery Authority, thanks to the Grenada Tourism Authority, and everyone who advertised here on the Ride Along platform. Catch you guys again tomorrow. On behalf of all of our production crew here, our senior executive producer Lois, JJ, and everyone at Team Ride Along, we say ciao. Oh, before I go, guys, I got to tell you about the Ride Go. Don't forget, if you're in Grenada and you want a taxi right now, or you want to call a taxi for a family or friend, you could download the Ride Go app. It works just like Uber. It's like almost the same like Uber, only better, right? So download the Ride Go. It's RYDEGO. And you could request a taxi anywhere, anytime, and the taxi gonna come and pick you up. It's not a taxi, more like your own personal driver. So download the Ride Go in the App Store as well. Ride Go, where do you want to go? Catch you guys again tomorrow. Good night.
Yeah, 999. What boy? Yeah, what boy? What boy? The sun is hot, the breeze is slow. I need a ride. Where do I go? Ride Go, yeah, that's the name. Island roads will never feel the same. Tap the app, just one click, hopping fast, it's real quick. Ride Go, where do you wanna go? To the beach, to the street, let the island flow. Ride Go, the good vibe show, fastest growing ride, everybody know. Ride Go, where do you wanna go? To the beach, to the street, let the island flow. Ride Go, let the good vibe show, fastest growing ride, everybody know.
Where do you want to go?
Are you a progressive young leader, a proactive emerging executive, a rising professional? Then you need appropriate cover for your vehicle. Introducing the Pro Motor Plan from Beacon. Car insurance that includes free loss of use, windscreen cover up to $3,500, free special perils, free accident forgiveness. Get Beacon's Pro Motor Plan today. Don't procrastinate. Call Beacon today at 440-4447 or visit beacongrenada.com.
Hi, I want $10 on Playway, $20 backup on Pick 3, and cash for each, please.
Okay, are you adding multi-X to your bet?
Yes, multi-X, all of them.
Smart! Best value bet. Backup and multi-X, you cannot go wrong.
Don't matter the bet, multi-X all of the daily games.
With multi-X added, your winnings can be multiplied 3 times, 5 times, even 7 times. So make it a rule. Add multi-X to all your Playway, daily Pick 3, and daily cash for bets every day and for every drop, and watch your money grow. Available at stores and online.
You heard it here. Multiply your winnings daily. Must be 18 or older to play. NLA. Make
The sun is hot, the breeze is slow. I need a ride. Where do I go? Ride Go, yeah, that's the name. Island roads will never feel the same. Tap the app, just one click, hopping fast, it's real quick. Ride Go, where do you wanna go? To the beach, to the street, let the island flow. Ride Go, let the good vibes show, fastest growing ride, everybody know.
Tuk Tuk now available on Ride Go. Book now.